Shalom, shalom. Salaki, let me make sure I got everything ready. Shalom, shalom. Right? Go ahead and get this thing jumping, man. All right. Shalom, shalom. It's your boy Isaiah Israel from SOS, where we ain't stressed in the 12 tribes is the best. Do you feel me? Right? And we want to give all glory, honor, and praises to the Most High God Yahweh, right? And his holy son, Hamashiach Womalak Yahushai, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, right? And we just want to give a mighty shalom to all the brothers and sisters out there, the Akim, the Aquas out there that's holding down the households, representing their husbands. Double honors to the elect elders, man, of the house of David, putting in his work that's been in the truth for decades and decades, right? Today we going into the destruction of Nicanor, man. This is a happy day, man. This is a time in our biblical, right, historical family records, which is the Bible, right, to the Israelites, right? Because all this is our family records, our history, right? And this is a good celebration today, right? That we celebrate the destruction of Nicanor, right? This damn Edomite, he was wicked as hell, and he tried to come against the men of the Lord. He tried to come against his holy ones, right? The saints, right? And this is our enemy, man, right? But on this day, right, around this period of time, I'm going to say, because we in captivity, right? Around this period of time, you know what I'm saying? Our forefathers, right, the Maccabees, Judas Maccabees, and them, like how we finna get into today, right? They got to a point, right, in the time where we were able to prevent our temple from being destroyed, right? Because that temple is the house of the Lord, right? He wanted to defile the temple. He's wicked as hell, right? He had prideful. He was very haughty, right? We're going to get into all that in the scriptures, right? But let me go start it off with this, man. The Spirit always has free course every time, man. All praise to the Most High. But this should be a happy day for us. And today is so-called February 14th, according to the Gregorian calendar. But we're not celebrating damn Valentine's Day, man. Everybody outside right now getting roses, getting candies, heart-shaped candies, and everything like that. We're not dealing with that. The Most High God not dealing with that, right? The Lord said to do his feast days, to do his law, statutes, and ordinances, right? But before we go to that, let's get some real quick. For the destruction of Nicanor and the Edomites real quick, right? This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25, and verse 17. And it says, remember what Amalek did unto thee by the way, when ye were come forth out of Egypt, how he met thee by the way, and smote the hindmost of thee, even all that were feeble behind thee, when thou wast faint and weary, and he feared not God. So we don't want to be forgetting the fact that what the Edomites be to us. Now, in this context, that was specifically speaking about Amalek. But we shouldn't forget anything that these other heathen nations did unto us, man. Or anything that's back in history that is in our family records, that is in our history, right? Because the Most High God said, remember the days of old. So we got to make sure we remembering the days of old and everything that was in it, right? Let's go to this next precept. Let's go to the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8, the classic, right? Let's go to the book of Joshua, right? Because people, you have brothers that are saying, oh, well, the Feast of Dedication, not a law, or the destruction of Nicanor or Purim, that's not a law. And I want to say shalom and happy Purim to everybody as well, because, you know, Israel, we ain't on one accord just yet, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers celebrating Purim tonight. Other brothers celebrated Purim yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Other brothers celebrated Purim or might be celebrating Purim tomorrow, right? But yeah, you have brothers that saying like the ordinances that was ordained by our forefathers, right? And which is we're gonna get into as well at the end, are not laws, right? Or we don't have to keep those. Right, you had a brother, you can ask Deacon Nehemiah. Me and Deacon Nehemiah, we was chilling one time on Clubhouse with these other brothers and these elders, and you had a brother came up and scoffed and said that the Feast of Dedication is paganism. Madness, right? Idiocracy. That what he said was asinine. right? So we got to get into this Bible and read it. That's why I said, seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. And you got to get, with all your getting, you got to get understanding, man. People got to understand it, right? This is the book of Joshua, chapter 1 and verse 8. And it reads thus and so. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night. So we got to always be meditating and going over the scriptures day and night, right? That thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then shalt thou have good success. So we have to do everything and observe to do everything that was written therein. That's the part I wanted to highlight on. So whether that's the feast of dedication, destruction of Nicanor, Passover, all these things that we need to be doing, man. We observe it. Okay, we got to remember the days of old. Judges 5 and 11. We got to rehearse the righteous acts. We got to do this, that, and third. We got to remember. We got to be keeping these things. And Salakia to the camera if I'm looking now, because I'm going live on my phone as well, right? And we got to make sure that we keeping these things in the last days, right? Look to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17, right? Because you have brothers that want to be simple. Well, it's not a law; it's an ordinance. Right? An ordinance. Right? 2 Kings. Salakia, bear with me. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 37. It reads thus. And the statutes, I'm going to start at verse 36. But the Lord who brought you up out of the land of Egypt with great power and stretched out and a stretched out arm, him shall ye fear, and him shall ye worship, and to him shall ye do sacrifice. Verse 37, here go the point. And the statutes, and the ordinances, and the law, and the commandment, which he wrote for you, ye shall observe to do forevermore, and ye shall not fear of the gods. So all the statutes, commandments, and ordinances is what this book consists of, is what we have to do, is what we have to make sure we're doing for the Most High God. So Feast of Purim, Feast of Dedication, the Passover, Destruction of Nicanor, remembering these things and rededicating ourselves to these things and acting and practicing these things out. We have to make sure we come back to that, because that's an ordinance. It's law, statutes, and commandments and ordinances, right? Let's go to the book of Romans 15 and 4. That's also a classic, right? Romans 15 and 4, Salakia. Bear with me. This is the book of Romans, chapter 15. I always pass it. Chapter 15 and verse 4. And it reads thus and so. It reads, for whatsoever things were written aforetime. So anything that was written in the scriptures before the time that we're living in now, right, were written for our learning. So we go over the scriptures, we observe it, we read it, and be like, damn, okay, this is what we got to do. We know that we Israel. So if you know that you Israel, right, you know that you Israel, you got to go back to the days of old, read over your history, and go back and turn your feet to the Most High God. And how do you do that? By coming back into his law, statutes, and commandments, right? Were written aforetime, right? Were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope. So we might have hope through these things, man, by doing the law, statutes, and commandments, by reading the great and magnificent things that our forefathers did through the will of Yahweh Shah, right? Let's go to one more precept. Just to touch on before we get into the bulk of the class. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16. One of my favorites. Right? This is the book of Isaiah or Yeshaya, right? 34 and verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord. So you got to seek out of this Bible, man. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native American, and Seminole Indians, you got to seek out of this Bible, man. Right? Seek out of the book of the Lord and read this thing, man. It says, blessed is he that readeth. All right, let's get there real quick. In Revelation, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 3. And it reads thus and so. It reads, Revelation 1 and 3. Blessed is he that readeth, and they that hear the words of this prophecy and keep those things which are written therein, for the time is at hand. And we know that the time is at hand. We living in the last days. So we're going to be blessed most definitely if we're reading it, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, because this is our wisdom in the sight of the nations. And we have wisdom, right? If we have this wisdom sent from heaven, y'all got to understand, this wisdom was given to a specific people. This wisdom was given to the Israelites, to us. This wisdom was given to us from the Most High God. This is heavenly wisdom sent to us from our Father. So if it's that heavenly wisdom, we're going to be blessed in it, right? But you got to come to it, and you got to read it, and you got to rehearse it, and you got to act it out, right? That's why I say faith without works is dead, right? Let's go back. So blessed is he that readeth. It says, seek out of the book of the Lord and read. Don't just, yeah, I'm an Israelite. No, you got to go and read, man, right? This is the book of Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. And no one of these shall fail. No one of these prophecies is going to fail. Nothing out of this Bible is going to fail, right? None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them. And when it says none shall want her mate, meaning you can't mix these other philosophies and religions with the Bible, right? You can't mix Islam with Christianity. You can't mix Christianity with the truth, right? You can't mix law, statutes, and commandments with smoking weed. You can't mix anything, right? The law is by itself, right? That's why it says none shall want her mate. Why do you think the Most High God only says to seek out of this book? He didn't say to seek out of the Quran. He didn't say to seek out of anything else. He says seek out of the book of the Lord and read, right? So let's go ahead and get to the bulk of the class, man. We're about to read about the mighty victory that our forefather Judas Maccabees had, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. These valiant, mighty men, right? These men were valiant, right? Our forefathers was, you know, you have brothers in this truth and also Christians that trying to say, not throwing no shots, you know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. But I'm saying you have brothers that try to make this truth, you know what I'm saying, effeminate or soft. But our fathers, they was gangsters, man, for lack of better terms. We were warriors, mighty men of valor, right? And we are the sons of those men. So we can't be coming this, you know what I'm saying, this generation. No, we living in a different time, but we still warriors, man. We still got boots on the ground. We still out there doing warrior-like things. We still out there going and preaching the truth. We preaching the word, right? We giving the gospel to the people, man, right? We doing all these things through the will of the Father, right? And our forefathers, man, they wasn't no joke, right? So we finna get into this wonderful celebration, right? And I'm excited. I'm glad, right, of the destruction of Nicanor, man, right? So let's start off with 2 Maccabees chapter 9, right? And we're going to dive deep into this thing. So y'all be prepared, man. I hope y'all got y'all notepads, y'all Bibles, y'all apocryphas, all that. This is the book of 2 Maccabees chapter 9, starting at verse 1 for context. About that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, for he had entered the city called Persepolis, Salakia, and went about to rob the temple and to hold the city, whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons, with them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus, being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame. Now when he came to Ecbatane, news brought him what had happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus. So these men tried to come against the men of the Lord in the temple, and we put their ass to flight, right? They tried to come against us, and we put their ass to shame, right? Verse 4. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. Therefore commanded he his chariot men to drive without ceasing, and to dispatch the journey, the judgment of Yahweh following him. So Nicanor is this proud ass Edomite, right? After we put him in the flight, he was upset. He was angry, right? So he said, all you know what? All these chariots and all these men, right? I'm gonna get all my men, get them chariots for them to drive out without ceasing, meaning they ain't gonna stop. We finna ride on these boys, right? For lack of better terms, right? It says the judgment of Yahweh now following him. Now peep that. It said now the judgment of the Most High God is following him for doing this thing and for being proud. And it's finna say why. For he has spoken proudly in this sort, that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews. So he's trying to come against the Israelites, right? And try to make where we at a burying place. You know how disrespectful that is? He basically said he want to commit genocide and knock all of us off. That is so much that it's a burying place. That's a wicked ass Edomite, man. Right? Let's keep reading. Verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. So the Most High put a spirit on this man, right? An evil spirit, right? Plague. As soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of us that was remediless, Salakia, came upon him, and sore torments of the inner part. So the Most High tearing his stomach up. So the Most High messed his bowels up, right? This man probably had to, boo-boo, right? He probably throwing up, right? All hell breaking loose on this man's stomach, right? But that's what he get for speaking great words against the children of Israel and the Most High God, right? How can God, that's another thing I want to, just side note real quick. How can the Most High God love everybody, right? We know that he has a specific chosen people, but this can show you how the Most High God feels about Israel. When someone tried to come against them, he put them in torment. He made Nicanor sick. And it's going to tell you how sick he made Nicanor. Right? And it reads, For as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels was remedious, came upon him, and sore torments of the inner parts. And the most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels with many of strange torments. Howbeit, he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanding to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot. So he was still being prideful at this point. He was still being prideful. Even though his bowels are getting messed up, he still went ahead and tried to pursue the destruction of the Israelites. Right? Let's read on. But watch what it says, though. That he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained. So he was in the Most High smote him with a horrible sickness, man. It's how you know the Most High God ain't nothing to be played with, man. The Lord said, I kill and not make alive. If I'm not that's Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 39. Right? The Lord said, I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Right? The Most High God ain't playing no games with this man. Right? Let's keep reading. Verse 7. Albeit he nothing at all ceased from his Salakia. That's we down a little bit more. We have verse 8, Salakia. Verse 8. 2 Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 8. And thus he that a little afore thought he might command the waves of the sea. So proud was he beyond the condition of man. So this Edomite was very exceeding proud beyond the condition of man. It said he thought that he could command the waves of the sea. This man thinking in his head that he's the Most High God. But Obadiah talks about that when they say that, these people, they think that they will be like the Most High. Right? When you read Obadiah. Right? Let's read on. So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and laid the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, shewing forth unto all the manifest power of Yahweh. So he was acting out the power that the Most High God put upon him with this sickness, right? With this illness, right? With this spirit and this demon that he had upon him, man. The Most High God put that upon him because he thought he was the Most High God, right? In his heart, he thought that he was a man of power, a man of great power above the Most High. Because it said that he thought, I'm going to read it again. For afore thought he might command the waves of the sea. What kind of pride could you have that you think that you could command the waves of the sea? Right? Because in Baruch, it tell you that even the stars have offices, right? In Baruch chapter 6 and verse 60, it tell you that even the stars have offices, right? And they even obey the Most High God. So this mortal man, this earth and ashes, right, think that he's above the Most High God, or that he's on the same level. Right? That's why I tell you, Obadiah said that they say that I will be like the Most High. Right? Let's read on. So proud was he beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse litter, shewing forth unto all the manifest power of Yahweh. Verse 9. So that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man, and whiles he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. So he stunk so much that it was noisy, it was loud. You know what I'm saying? For lack of better terms, you know how, brothers used to be in the world, you know what I'm saying, smoke weed, right? Oh yeah, bro, I got that loud. Well, this Edomite smell was extremely loud, right? It said all his army smelled it. It was noisome, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 10. And the man that thought a little afore he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure to carry for his intolerable stink. So his soldiers couldn't even carry him because he stunk so damn bad. The Most High would tear you up. That's why I say pride go up before destruction. Right, let's get that action. Let's go to the book of Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 18. Right, because it tells you all through the story talking about Nicanor, right, in the Maccabees. It tell you how prideful that Nicanor was. It says he was a very prideful and haughty man. Right? So like y'all was going the wrong way. Right? Proverbs chapter 16 verse 18. And it reads thus and so. It's like it. Pride goeth before destruction. So when you prideful, you think you know what I'm saying, you think you the man, you walk with your head, you walk around like you just can't be touched, right? Like your boo-boo don't stink. Right? That goes before destruction, meaning what? Because when you're prideful, then comes a fall. You ever see somebody being cocky? Oh yeah, I'm this, that, and the third, and I'm all about this, that, and I'm like this, and I'm like that, and I'm better than him. And then what happened? Then he get brought down to a lower state, or he gets humbled because he was being prideful. He was a very boastful person, or she was a very boastful sister. Right? Pride goes before destruction. Right? So you never want to be too prideful. Right? It says, pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. So you being haughty, right? It's the same type of thing, right? It's the same type of thing, right? So if you being prideful and haughty, you're gonna fall. Just like Nicanor is falling. Because he thought that he was going to be like the Most High. He thought he was going to go over here and smite the Israelites, but the Lord smote him with a sickness so intolerable, his own men didn't even want to carry him. His own men didn't want to be around him, right? It said he smelled his own stench, right? Let's get that. We're gonna keep reading. 2 Maccabees chapter 9 and verse 11. Here, therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride, and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scorns of Yahweh, his pain increasing every moment. And when he himself could not abide his own smell, so it said he couldn't abide his own smell. The Most High God had this man messed up, man. He had him stinking, right? He had him stinking and hurting, right? It said his own smell, he said these words, it is meet to be subject unto Yahweh, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself as he were God. So the Most High God had him thinking back. He humbled him, right? That's why he fell. He literally fell, and he fell spiritually. Right? He fell in the mind. The Most High God broke that man's spirit, man. The Most High God not playing no games. Right? Let's get a preset real quick on how austere, right, the Most High God, our Lord, is. Right? This is the book of Exodus, chapter 15 and verse 3, and it reads thus: the Lord is a man of war. Right? The Lord is his name. The Most High God is a man of war. Right? Everybody like to try to portray the Most High God or God as some soft, sweet person with a white beard that's floating off in the sky. No, the Lord is the man of war. Right? The Lord will mess you up. The Lord will have you die in a car crash. Right? The Lord will have you just out here bugged the hell out. Right? The Lord will have you going through things, man. It said in Exodus 15 and 3 that the Lord is a man of war. The Lord don't play no games. Right? Let's go back. 2 Maccabees chapter 9. And I'm going to start at verse 12. Yeah. So verse 12. And when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words: it is not meet to be subject unto God, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself as if he were God. This wicked person bowed also unto the Lord, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus. So he bowed even though the Most High God didn't have no mercy upon him, right? That the holy city to the which he was going to haste. So this holy city, he was going to try to go haste Zion, right? The Israelites, right? He was going to try to make us desolate, right? Try to cut us off from being a nation, like it tell you in Psalms 83, right? That's what his plan was. His plan was to wipe us out and destroy the temple, right? But every time he tried to do it, something happened to him. Either the Most High God smote him like we reading about it right now, or the Most High put the spirit on us to smite our enemies, right? And we're going to read about that too, right? Verse 14, that the holy city to the which he was going in haste, in haste to lay it even with the ground and to make it a common burying place, he would set at liberty. So that was his whole goal, to make us a common burying place. And that's disrespectful as hell, man. Right? He wanted to commit genocide on us. He hated us that much. That's how you know that this is a damn Edomite. Right? That's why the Lord man, Esau, he weak, man. Esau, you read multiple times in the scriptures where Esau did some weak stuff, man. Like how I just read in Deuteronomy chapter 25. Like they smote us from behind where our women and children were. Right? Even when Esau wanted to go back and meet Jacob in the book of Genesis, Jacob already knew that Esau was trying to kill him. That's why he didn't meet him at the mountain. Right? You have many different accounts where Edomites is just being sneaky. Right? And we're going to read how deceitful they were and all of that. Right? But we're going to go ahead, just for time's sake, we're going to go ahead and jump. But when you read all the way down to verse 24 on this, it talks about how Nicanor, how he was apologizing. He wrote a letter. He sent back the victuals of the temple. He did all these things because the Lord messed him up bad. The Most High is going to fight for you, man. Right? It said the Lord will fight for you. Right? Let's get that real quick. So this goes to another thing that we need to have faith in the Most High God. It's many lessons to be learned, you know what I'm saying, in this reading, right? While we're reading about the destruction of Nicanor and the valiant acts that our forefathers did, right? They trusted in the Most High God. They knew, Judas Maccabees knew that the Most was going to fight for us, right? That's how he had the confidence. That's why I tell you in Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 26 that the Most High God will be your confidence, right? And he will stir you away from your foot from being taken. Roughly paraphrase. Let's read this. Exodus chapter 14 and verse 14. It reads thus: the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. So it don't be all the time when we need to do something, man. Right? Because at this point right here, we didn't even need to do nothing. The Lord had already started knocking his ass off. So the Lord is going to fight for us. Let me get that one that I just quoted. I kind of butchered it a little bit. I ain't going to count. Right? This is the book Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 26. I'm going to start in verse 25. Be not afraid of sudden fear, neither shall argue, neither of the desolation of the wicked when it cometh. For the Lord shall be thy confidence, and shall keep thy foot from being taken. So the Most High God is going to be our confidence. He's going to be our shield. He's going to be our buckler in that time of need, right? And we have to make sure that we be steadfast and we trust on Him, right? Let's get another account, right? Let's go to the second Maccabees. So let's go back to first Maccabees. So when you read first Maccabees chapter 7, that is where you can actually get like a straightforward story of what went on, right, in the destruction of Nicanor. But I would also tell you, well, I'm going to say, but also second Maccabees, the 15th chapter, it get a little more in depth. And it's a good read, man. Y'all got to read that, man. It's a good read. This is a book of first Maccabees chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 1, right? And it reads, and it reads thus: in the 115th year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, if I butchered the name, departed from Rome and came up with a few men unto a city of the seacoast and reigned there. And as he entered into the place of his ancestors, so it was that his forces had taken Antiochus and Lysias to bring them unto him. Wherefore, when he knew it, he said, let me not see their faces. So his host slew them. Now when Demetrius was set upon the throne of his kingdom, there came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having alchemists, who was desirous to be high priest for their captain. So coonery, right? You see coonery going on in the nation of Israel. You say it says wicked men that had these other nations ruling over them as their captain, right? Those are coons today, right? And that's coons back then, right? There's nothing new under the sun, right? According to Ecclesiastes 1 and 9, right? Verse 6, and they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all thy friends and driven us out of our own land. Now therefore send some man whom thou trustest, and let him go and see what havoc he hath made among us and in the king's land, and let him punish them with all them that aid them. Then the king chose Bacchide, a friend of the king, who ruled beyond the flood, and was a great man in the kingdom and faithful to the king. In him he sent with that wicked alchemist whom he had made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance on the children of Israel. So these men are starting to come against us again, right? And you're going to see Nicanor getting involved in this thing, right? Verse 10, so they departed and came with a great power into the land of Judea, where they sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words deceitfully. It said peaceable words deceitfully. These people is conniving and try to take us down, right, with one consent, right? Because that's what these other nations do when they gather amongst each other. They try to take us down, or when they by themselves, right? They seek to take us down with one consent. They're confederate against us, right? Let's keep reading. Verse 11. But they gave no heed to their words, for they saw that they were come with a great power. Then did there assemble unto alchemists and Bacchides a company of scribes to require justice. Now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them. But for said they, one that is a high priest of the seed of Aaron is come with this army, and he will do us no wrong. So he spake unto them peaceably, and sware unto them, saying, we will procure the harm neither of you nor your friends. Whereupon they believed him. Howbeit, he took of them 80 men and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote. Right? You see that? Right? Let's read on. The flesh of thy saints have they cast out, and their blood have they shed round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, there is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and oath that they made. So they lied, right? They didn't keep their promise, right? Verse 19. After this, removed Bagades from Jerusalem and pitched his tents in Bezek, where he sent and took many of the men that had forsaken him, and certain of the people also. And when he had slain them, he cast them into the great pit, and committed he the country to Alchemists, and left with him a power to aid him. So Bacchides went to the king, but Alchemists contended for the high priesthood, and unto him restored all such as troubled the people, who after they had gotten the land of Judah into their power, did much hurt in Israel. So they over there messing with us, smiting us. They said they did much hurt in Israel, right? They annoyed us, right? Now, when Judas saw, this is talking about Judas Maccabees. Now, when Judas saw all the mischief that Alchemist and his company had done among the Israelites, even above the heathen. So this brother right here did some more level stuff, right? He extended wickedness above the heathen, right? You got to be a wicked nigga, man. Right? Verse 24. He went out into all the coast of Judea round about, and took vengeance on them that had revolted from him, so that they durst no more go forth into the country. So Judas Maccabees went to go set that thing straight. He was like, hey man, I'm gonna go over here and handle y'all real quick. He went to go see about it, right? Verse 25, and it reads, on the other side, when Alchemist saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand, and knew that he was not able to abide their force, he went again to the king and said all the worst of them that he could. See that? Verse 26. Then the king sent Nicanor, there go Nicanor, right? One of his honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel. Who is our most known enemy that has hate towards us? Esau, right? So-called white man, right? Let's keep reading. Honorable princes, a man that bare deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people. So Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a great force, and sent unto Judas and his brethren deceitfully with friendly words, saying, and what is that? What is that scripture, Salaki? Let me see if I can pull it up. That's a good scripture, right? I'm gonna get this real quick. It said deceitfully. Hold on. Brothers know what I'm talking about. It's in Psalms, right? Here we go. I want to bring this out real quick. And I knew this. This is a book of Psalms, chapter 55 and verse 21, and it reads, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. And that's what this Edomite Nicanor is doing, right? Because his words were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart, right? He had a plot. He had an evil plot, right, behind his agenda, his so-called agenda, right? Let's keep reading. And it reads, verse 28, 1 Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 28. Let there be no battle between me and you. I will come with a few men, that I may see you in peace. He came therefore to Judas, and they saluted one another peaceably. Howbeit, the enemies were prepared to take away Judas by violence. So the people that he had brought with them, they were prepared to come and take Judas, right? Which thing after it was known to Judas, to wit, that he came unto him with deceit. So Judas realized that he came to him and he tricked him. He lied to him, right? It says with deceit. He was so afraid of him and would see his face no more. So he fled and hid from him, right? Nicanor also, when he saw that his counsel was discovered, went out to fight against Judas beside Cap Harsalema, right? So when Judas found out, oh damn, this damn devil tricking me, man. He lied to me. So whenever he hid his face from Nicanor, Nicanor went to go see about Judas, right? It says, verse 31. Nicanor also, when he saw that his counsel was discovered, went out to fight against Judas beside Cap Harsalema, where there were slain of Nicanor's side about 5,000 men, and the rest fled into the city of David. Right, let's keep reading. Verse 33. After this went Nicanor up to the Mount Zion, and there came out the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people. So he went up to Mount Zion, right, to go mess with our people, to salute him peaceably, and to shew him the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king. But he mocked them and laughed at them, and abused them shamefully, and spake proudly, and sware in his wrath, saying, unless Judas and his host be now delivered into my hands, if ever I come again in safety, I will burn up this house. And with that, he went out in a great rage. Now we just read, right? We just read in 2 Maccabees, right? So yeah, in 2 Maccabees chapter 9, that when he tried to go and smite our temple and do something to our temple and defile our temple, the Most High God put a sickness upon him. And then he's, oh, I'm apologizing, Lord. And then now that he better, he going back. This Edomite is wicked, man. And this goes to show what? Never trust your enemy. Right, let's get that real quick on the side. Never trust your enemy, man. The Bible got an answer for everything. Right? This is the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 10, and it reads thus and so. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So eventually, like how iron is going to show that it can be composed and broken down and turn into rust, soon all your enemies and all these other heathen, chiefly the Edomites and Esau, right? Their true colors is going to show. Their wickedness is going to show, right? That rust is a similitude for wickedness. So their wickedness is going to eventually show. Well, not all of them are bad. Not all of them are bad. They just ain't rusted yet. Right? Right, so let's continue. Right? First Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 36. Then the priest entered in and stood before the altar in the temple, weeping and saying, Thou, O Lord, didst choose this house to be called by thy name, and to be a house of prayer and petition for thy people. Be avenged of this man and his host, and let him fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer. So Nicanor went out of Jerusalem and pitched his tents in Beth-horon, where an host out of Syria met him. But Judas pitched in Adassa with 3,000 men, and there he prayed, saying, O Lord, when they that were sent from the king of the Assyrians blasphemed, thine angel went out and smote 185,000 of them. Even so, destroy thou this host before us this day, that the rest may know that he had spoken blasphemy against thy sanctuary, and judge thou him according to his wickedness. So Nicanor, Judas Maccabees is praying against the destruction of Nicanor because he blasphemed against the temple. He's doing all this wickedness. He's trying to destroy the temple. He threatened to burn it down. You imagine someone coming to your camp, right? Y'all got a school, and then the damn Edomite walk in and, hey, I'm gonna burn this mug up. I don't like what y'all got going. I'm gonna burn this up. You think the Most High God gonna let that happen? To have his temple a place of refuge where y'all come to worship in the Most High God's name peaceably, right? And in righteousness. You think he gonna let that happen? No, the Lord's going to fight for you, like we read in Exodus 14:14. Right? Let's jump to verse 47. Right? Let's just get to the point. Verse First Maccabees chapter 7 and verse 47. Afterwards, they took the spoils and the prey and smote off Nicanor's head. So this is when they went into battle with Nicanor, right? After he done talk all this crap, after he done talk about how he was going to smite Jerusalem and do all this to the Israelites. This is the end all be all, right? It reads, and smote off Nicanor's head. So they chopped off his head and his right hand, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them upon hanged them up toward Jerusalem. Right? So they hanged his head and his arm up toward Jerusalem, right? As a trophy, right? Verse 48. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained, see, this is part of that ordinance that we read in 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 37. So moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah was in rest a little while. So this is why we keep the destruction of Nicanor, right? It's ordained by our forefathers to keep it, right? Through the will of the Father, right? Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be in the Bible, because we just read out of Romans chapter 15 and verse 4 that the scriptures were written for our learning. And then we read to back that up in Joshua 1 and 8 that we have to do all that is written in the book therein. So we got to keep this thing, man. If our forefathers kept this, that's a learning moment. That's a scripture written for our learning moment. If our forefathers kept it, we need to keep it, right? It ordained this day, and we know we the Israelites, and the Israelites kept this day, so we need to be keeping it as well, right? Let's get one more account on this thing, right? Let's go to 2 Maccabees, the 15th chapter. And I like 2 Maccabees, the 15th chapter, because it gives a little more in-depth insight breakdown on what happened. Right? This 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 1. But Nicanor, hearing that Judas and his company were in the strong places about Samaria, resolved without any anger to set upon them on the Sabbath day. Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with him said, "Oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days." So these Israelites are trying to tell Nicanor, man, look, why are you trying to go destroy the temple on a holy day, on a Sabbath, knowing that we can't work on the Sabbath? And that's one of the whole important things about this story is they knew, the other nations know our ordinances, man. They know our bits and pieces of what our heritage is. They knew that the Israelites didn't work or do any type of labor on the Sabbath, right? So what they did was being wicked as hell, cowardice as hell, like Edomites always been from the beginning of goddamn time, right? They went and said, Nicanor was like, all right, I'm going to just go on the Sabbath. I know they can't do nothing. I know they can't work, right? Let's get that real quick in the law. Right, let's get that real quick. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 8. And it reads thus and so. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Verse 11, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that is in them. So like it, and all that it is, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. So he hallowed it. He set this above all other days, right? And we got to make sure that we keeping this thing, man. You got to make sure that we keeping the destruction of Nicanor. But that was the main, like one of the main important things about this story is that they were literally trying to come against us on the Sabbath, knowing that we couldn't work because they were wicked as hell, man. Right? The heathen, they cowardice, man. They some cowards, right? And that's a coward move. That's like hitting below the belt. Like you knowing your opponent can't fight. Right? Let's continue. Second Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 2. Nevertheless, uh Nevertheless, the Jews that were compelled to go with them said, "Oh, destroy not so cruelly and barbarously, but give honor to that day which he that seeth all things hath honored with holiness above other days." That's the Sabbath day. Then the most ungracious wretch demanded if there were a mighty one in heaven that had commanded the Sabbath day to keep it. And when they said, there is in heaven a living Lord and mighty who commanded the 7th day to be kept. So they're saying they commanded Nicanor, hey man, this day need to be kept. Man, this day need to, hey, this is the Sabbath day. This is what our Lord commanded us to do. Right? I'm gonna read it to you. It's like I'm gonna read it to you. Reading on. Verse 5, 2 Maccabees 15 and 5. Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon the earth. This Edomite is wicked and prideful as hell. He said, you see how that goes back to what? 2 Maccabees, the 9th chapter, how he thought that he can command the waves of the seas. Right? He putting himself on the level of the Most High God. Well, I also am a mighty one in the earth. That's wicked as hell, man. That's prideful for even you to compare yourself to the Most High God. Right? The Most High God says in the Apocrypha, if I'm not mistaken, why is earth and ashes proud? Because that's all that we are. We're going to return right back to the dust. We're going to return right back to the earth. Right? Let's read verse 5 again. Then said the other, and I also am mighty upon the earth, and I commanded to take arms and to do the king's business. Yet he obtained not to have his wicked will done. So Nicanor, in exceeding pride and haughtiness, determined to set up a public monument of his victory over Judas and them that were with him. But Maccabeus had ever sure confidence that the Lord would help him. You see that? Because he knew that the Lord would be his confidence, like we just read in Proverbs 3:26. So Judas Maccabeus wasn't tripping on Nicanor coming because he already knew that the Most High God was with him. Right? So let's jump to verse 28. Let's go ahead and get and I'll encourage brothers on their own time to go back and read this because this is a good read. Right? 2 Maccabees chapter 15 and verse 28. And it reads thus and so. It reads, now when the battle was done, returning again with joy, they knew that Nicanor lay dead in his harness. Then they made a great shout and a noise, praising the Almighty in their own language. And Judas, who was ever the chief defender of the citizens, both in body and mind, and who continued his love toward his countrymen all his life, commanded to strike off Nicanor's head. So this is the same story that's being told what we just read, right? But it's in more depth. That's why I like chapter 15. It goes into more detail what happened. Bro, I tell you, Judas Maccabees, he was cold, man. Right? To strike off Nicanor's head. And his hand with his shoulder. So he didn't just, when the last passage we read, he cut off his right hand. This would say he cut off his hand and his shoulder. He took off his whole damn right arm. Right? For messing with the children of Israel. Right? And bring them to Jerusalem. So when he was there and had called them of his nation together and set the priests before the altar, he sent for them that were of the tower and shewed them bow Nicanor's head and the hand of the blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. And you see it giving them all these names: proud, bragger, haughty, and because that's what this damn devil was. That's all he was. And all he was bloodthirsty for whatever reason. He tried it was multiple accounts, right? We only read 2. It was multiple accounts that he wanted to try to destroy our temple, man. Right? If the Lord didn't let that happen. Right? So yeah. Let me read 32 again. And shewed them bow Nicanor's head and the hand of that blasphemer, which with proud brags he had stretched out against the holy temple of the Almighty. So that right there, all right, is what we did whenever we got the victory over him, right? Now I get deeper than that. Watch this, verse 33. And when he had cut out the tongue of that ungodly Nicanor, he commanded that they should give it by pieces unto the fowls, and hang upon the reward of his madness before the temple. Man, Judas Maccabee was cold, man. That's why I say at the beginning of this lesson, our forefathers, man, they weren't no punks, man. We was gangsters, man. Right? And I ain't talking about this modern day nigga game. This modern day nigga spirit when you got Bloods and Crips and all that type of stuff. No, we was mighty valiant men that served the Lord, but we wasn't nothing to be played with either. Right? For brothers that don't know, I'm actually going back and reading the Bible front to back. And I'm actually still in Genesis. When they went and they took Lot, Abraham got like 400, I believe it's like 80 or 400 men, and girded them up with armor, and they went and got Lot. They rode on them boys, man. Our forefathers was warriors, right? Abraham was a king. Right? Our forefathers was warriors. We was mighty men, man. So we got to go back to that and remember the days of old. Now, I'm not saying be over righteous and be warrior mode all the time, but when it's time to get down, it's time to get down, man. Right? Verse 34. So every man prays toward the heaven, the glorious Lord, saying, Blessed be he that hath kept his own place undefiled. He hanged also Nicanor's head upon the tower, an evident and a manifest sign unto all the help of the Lord. So we hung his head on the top of the tower to let everybody know that we set him as an example. All right, and this is why we celebrate that thing, man. Because he tried to destroy our temple, but the Lord didn't let him. And they ordained, here go that word ordained again, going back to what? Ordinance, right? And they ordained with all with a common decree, in no case to let that day pass without solemnity, but to celebrate the 13th day of the 12th month, which in the Syrian tongue is called Adar, the day before Mardocheus' day. Thus went it with Nicanor, and from that time forth the Hebrews had the city in their power. And here I'm in, and if I have done well, and as is fitting the story, it is that which I desired. But if slenderly and meanly, it is that which I could attain unto. For as it is hurtful to drink wine or water alone, and as wine mingled with water is pleasant and delighteth the taste, even so speech finely framed delighteth the ears of them that read the story. And here shall be an end. So it should be pleasant, just like how wine is pleasant to us. It should be pleasant to us to read the story that we read it, the destruction of Nicanor, man. Right? And with that, is why I say, Israel, I hope you was edified through the Spirit. That is why we celebrate the destruction of Nicanor. Right? Swords of the Spirit, we say keep the law, so I'm going to do the law real quick. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 22, and verse 8, and it reads, not 8, verse 28. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. So if we go against, or if we don't celebrate the destruction of Nicanor, that's reviling the gods. That's reviling the rulers of our people. And when you go into God in that context, that just means like a prophet or a man of a higher stature, if you understand, right? Because in Psalms 82:6, the Lord said that ye are gods, right? We are the gods of this earth, right? And when you go into the etymology of gods, it just means power or judge, right? So who's ever in power or rulership above us, right? And how we supposed to go back and praise famous men, like you tell you in the Apocrypha, right? They ordained this day from the ordinance. So we can't revile the gods. We got to do what they told us to do through the will of the Father. And with that, Yasharallah, this is Isaiah Israel from Swords of the Spirit. Hope he's edified through the Spirit. Happy destruction of Nicanor. Happy Purim. Kram Yasharallah. Shalom.